My name is Mark Koch. Today is the 22nd of September 2019. This is an emergency video. That to all pro-European press, and especially to the President of the European Parliament, Mr. David Maria Sassoli, as well as to the President of the European Council, Mr. Donald Tusk, because both of them have been journalists in their past. Donald Tusk's son was a journalist too, so they know the importance of press, and if the press helps to publish this case as soon as possible and to transport this case, especially to the European Parliament and their president and the President of the Council, then they will take a look at it. We can be absolutely sure of that, because they were journalists and know about the importance of the press. I call on the press. I call for the press because the press is the only institution that can publish this case quickly, soon enough, before the 31st of October, when the Brexit is supposed to happen. I have scientific proof. I have non-refutable, irrefutable scientific, apodictic scientific proof that the Brexit is illegal. I have discovered the Principia Lingua, the principles of language. This is das Gegenstück, the analogon to that's not the correct word. I'm sorry, I'm not perfect in English. It's the missing piece, or the opposite piece of what Isaac Newton had found 1688, and called the Principia Mathematica. I have found the principles of language with which it is possible to prove relations with words. Until today, it was, before this breakthrough, this huge breakthrough, it was impossible. People believed it is impossible to prove anything with words. Wittgenstein said that ordinary language, in his Tractatus Philosophicus, he said that it is that philosophy, which deals with words, which works with words, is not a scientific doctrine, not a scientific teaching. You can't teach philosophy. It's just something that you do. It's just a way to think, but you can't teach true knowledge to students with philosophy. This is what Wittgenstein said in his famous Tractatus, which is deemed to be one of the most important philosophical works of the 20th century. And Hawking afterwards even said that philosophy is dead. Now there are some words. This is very important. Now, please, I'm sorry. Please take a look at that. Invest 5 minutes to take a look. You can see the true meaning, and you can see certain proofs only in certain languages. And one of these proofs that you can only see in one language, namely in German, is the proof of what philosophy really is. You can see the word for proof. The German word for proof is Beweis, and the German word for wisdom is Weisheit. And if you take a close look, but a very simple look, you can see it on first sight. You see that the letters used in these two words are identical. This is the root of these two words. The root of both words is Weiss, W-E-I-S. They're used in both words. To be exact, they are used in at least five words, namely in wisdom, in the wise one. Being wise, the adjective, the attribute, the way to do things, die Weise etwas zu tun, the way, that's the German word for the way to do things, die Weise, and in the word beweisen and anweisen, to prove something. Beweis means proof, and beweisen means to prove something, and anweisen means to teach. This group family of words proves that philosophy itself is a doctrine of proofs, and what Isaac Newton has done in 1688 was part of philosophy and not of science. I have proven this. I've explained this in detail. The fact that philosophy is the so-called apodictic or apodicticity, which Aristotle said was something that you need in order to have true science. You need apodicticity. This is what philosophy in its core really is apodicticity itself. Apodicticity or apodictic, the doctrine of proof, is a core element of philosophy, but this is not as important as another group of words, German words, with which you can prove that the Brexit really is illegal. I may have repeated myself and repeatedly shown this group of words in different videos, because I had to make a lot of emergency videos, which I then tried to improve in detail, and because I until today I wasn't attacked again, because there is the danger that I am attacked again and maybe imprisoned, or that the proofs that these posters that I prepared here are taken away too. The proofs that the Brexit is illegal have been taken away from me. Someone stole them, or stole my access to them, and while I was trying to publish them because of the Brexit, in order to help England, the city of Witten, which is a partner city, a twin city of London, Dagenham, the borough of Barking and Dagenham, is a twin city of the city I am in right now, the city called Witten. Witten at the river Ruhr in North Rhine-Westphalia. North Rhine-Westphalia. Important before you think I'm talking. These are English words that with which you can prove certain relations only in English. Yeah, you have there's the similar relation, that there are certain groups of words that with which you can prove certain important relations, but only in English. And for German-speaking people, it's as difficult to see this as it might have been for you now, just a moment ago when I showed you the poster of German words. The word improve contains the word prove, as you see, because it is not possible to improve something without being able to prove what it is that will be improved. Because if you're incapable to prove that you can actually improve something, then you have to try to improve something. And since if you try to improve something for human beings, then if you only try to improve something, you are not sure that you actually manage to improve, and while you're trying to improve, you're toying with the lives of people. This is a standard thing that happens in politics. All politicians actually only always try to improve something without really knowing how to. And already this word alone already proves that you can, because it contains the word prove. That if you want to improve something, you have to prove to the people in advance that you can improve something. There are some words that cannot be considered normal science, but have to be considered abnormal science, because if you write the word worth like this, it becomes obvious what the true meaning of worth actually is. This is proven. I have proven this. I will explain this in detail why this is so. But this is it is important to notice that it is said that visual spellings as norm, that they resist change. That it is difficult to convince people that one actually can do something like this, change the spelling, and then be capable to prove certain relations that can otherwise not be proved. I'm mentioning this because the science I have done, a huge part of the science that I have done is that which Thomas S. Kuhn, the philosopher of science, called abnormal science. Abnormal science, not normal science, not the norm science that everyone is used to, but completely new, different, strange, and abnormal science. And Thomas S. Kuhn has shown that something like abnormal science is necessary for a real scientific breakthrough to occur. That real scientific breakthroughs only occur by abnormal science itself, which means that if I show you something that you find strange or hard to believe, it is a good sign. It is a good sign that this might be a real scientific breakthrough that can actually prove something that couldn't be proven before. Kuhn called this abnormal science. I've written this, you see the word here, Kuhn, abnormal science. Abnormal science. This is one of the key words of Thomas Kuhn's work about paradigm shifts. And the fact that I found the Principia Lingua, like Newton has found his Principia Mathematica back then, is a paradigm. This is a paradigm shift. Many scientists claim they have found they had found principles, and they had something that is that serves for a paradigm shift. But this is something that you will easily see yourself. This is different. I've worked for more than 20 years every day to prove certain, to find out how you can prove the truth with words, which was unknown before. So this is something that was absolutely unknown before I found how it is done. So you will see on first sight that this will change. This will change the way that language is seen, for instance, which is a paradigm shift. Okay, important. The word. These two German words, they explain why the fraud, the wrong amount that was advertised, the Brexit was advertised with, for instance, on the NHS bus, on this red bus, NHS bus. It was advertised that if Britain goes out of Europe, then the NHS would receive 350 million pounds per week that otherwise are at the moment given to Europe every week or something. And that was a false amount. The true amount was way below this amount that was advertised on the Brexit bus, and our ancestors have left us the logic, the true logic in words, in form of normative language. It's called normative language because the language already gives us norms. A norm is a difference between right and wrong. It's a value judgment, and I've proven. I've in order to prove that the Brexit is illegal, I also had to prove the value judgment dispute. I had to solve the value judgment dispute. A value judgment is a judgment of the rightness or wrongness of something or someone's behavior, for instance. And until today, there have been strong debates and disputes about the question whether something like the difference between right and wrong behavior, for instance, can be proven in the first place scientifically. It was said that it could not be proven, and so I explicitly did research on whether on how it is possible to prove, or whether it is possible to prove the difference between right and wrong. Also, in order so that the proofs that the Brexit is illegal that I had found are absolutely not assailable. I did this in order for the proofs that the Brexit is wrong and illegal to become irrefutable, to become absolutely non-defeasible. And I succeeded. I solved the value judgment dispute. I proved that there is a difference between right and wrong. And with the help of the Principia Lingua. Let's just continue here. It is important that there is this relation that is the word Betrug in the German word Betrug means fraud. Yeah, the German word Betrug means fraud. And it is important that there are normative relations in our language that we received from our ancestors already, and that show every simple person already in the logic of our words that fraud is wrong, that fraud is something that you cannot do. The fact that these relations exist in our language is important for the Brexit, because because it is said that there is no law in England, that there is no law against lying in politics. For instance, during something like advertising for the Brexit or something. For instance, there is a German article. There are many English articles as well, but there is a German article in which Professor Bernhard Wessels, he's a democracy researcher on democracy in Berlin, at least at that time he was. In this article, he said that it is not acceptable. The way it was lied during the Brexit, during the advertising for the Brexit, is not acceptable and wrong. But it is in England. This is different because there are no laws against lying in advertising. So it is basically it was basically lying lying in advertising was basically allowed. He said, this is what he says here. That means that there in advertising there can be lied. This is allowed. Okay, there are many opinions like this in science, and I don't want to say that this professor, I don't want to accuse this professor, not at all. No offense to Mr. Wessels, no, but this is a common opinion, and this is so that there don't need to be laws against lying in advertising, for instance, in politics, because already our ancestors gave us the normative relations in the logic of a language. Wittgenstein claimed there is no logic of language in ordinary words, but he was wrong. I've disproven Wittgenstein completely. That man did not know a single piece of what he was talking about. He actually constructed a whole heap of lies, one building up on the other, just pure claims. This guy only claimed he knew what he was talking about, but he never proved anything of what he actually said. But people believed him. The whole scientific fields, whole scientific directions that were created because of the work, based on the work of Wittgenstein, they all just believed what Wittgenstein had claimed. But they were just claims and nobody noticed. They all found that so strong the way he said it. No offense to those who believed him, but you don't do this. Science is a field in which proof is sought for, and only proof proves that one has said something right. There's nothing but proof that can prove that you're right, or that can prove that somebody else is wrong. So there is a guy. What I wanted to say is there is a guy in England who correctly tried to make people aware of the fact that there is an important law in England, in Britain, which the principle of which is called fraud unravels everything. Fraud unravels everything. It means something like that if there is a person or an organization that actually committed a fraud and then goes to for instance to the court and tries to fight for something else that is not about the fraud but is connected to the fraud, then the organization or the person who committed the fraud in the first place must, under no circumstances, be allowed to succeed with any further claims, because if there was a fraud in some kind of activity that is related to something that you want to fight for, that you claim was your right in front of the courts, then you don't have the slightest chance at all, because someone who commits a fraud cannot be allowed to succeed even in other areas. Something like this. You can read this article. It's by Ewan McGorgay. I don't know how his name is actually pronounced. I'm sorry. Ewan McGorgay. He published this article in a blog by the blog of the London School of Economics, LSE. You can look it up on Google. Ewan McGorgel, Fraud Unravels Everything. You will find it. It was published on the German blog on Constitutional Matters, Verfassungsblog on Matters Constitutional. A very nice blog in which people from all over Europe, scientists all over Europe publish articles in English or German. It was published there too on Friday the 8th June of 2018. This article about fraud, about the fact that fraud unravels everything, that it is not allowed important. What the Brexit Leave Party did was fraud. That can be easily proven, for instance, by those relations that our ancestors left us. You can easily see it in the German language, but you can see it in other languages. And as far as I've found out, I've found traces of these of such relations in the English language too. But I didn't have the time to prove them in English until today. I've proven these relations in German. The fact that fraud, that there is something like fraud, and that fraud is wrong. Yeah, our ancestors already left this truth in the logic of a language. You can look up and you can look up, which means that then if it can be proven that the Brexit Leave Party committed fraud, then of course they cannot be allowed to succeed in court. For instance, I guess that it is, or actually I don't guess, I'm relatively sure that it is not allowed, for instance, that it would not be allowed for Mr. Johnson to succeed in such a matter as trying to win in front of the courts because of the prorogation that he forced upon the Parliament of the lower house, I suppose. Fraud Unravels Everything, Ewan McGorgel, article from, I think it's at the end. I can't find that quickly when it was published, but it must be around the time when the German article was published on the German side. The city of Witten is very important. The proofs that I have worked on, they have been blocked. The police, psychiatry, and the city. This is really important. The city, with the help of psychiatry and with the official aid, it's called Amtshilfe in German. They called for the police to help. In order to get access to the rooms I was in. It wasn't possible. I retreated into a bunker, so it wasn't possible for any private person to attack me and to endanger me or the proofs that I was working on. I was working on the proofs, for instance, that the Brexit was illegal, and proofs about dignity. And I was working on a proof that the psychiatric system in its current form, this is a psychiatrist, his name is Däumer, the psychiatry in its current form in all countries of the world is absolutely illegal and breaking all constitutions, basically all righteous constitutions that exist. They definitely break the German constitution. The psychiatric system breaks the German constitution. Because it allows to declare any completely harmless and perfectly sane person insane. Yeah, even if you're perfectly sane, perfectly harmless, and you have never committed a crime, it is possible to declare you insane with a mere signature by a psychiatrist. It's not much necessary. There was a famous case, the case of Mr. Mollert and the case of Mrs. Hasselbauer, and the cases of the tax officers Schmenger, Wehner, Feser. Schmenger, Wehner, Feser, they are German, or they were German tax officers, and although they were perfectly sane, they have been declared to be insane, mentally unfit for the work that they were doing by a psychiatrist in order to get them out of the way, because they were researching cases that some people didn't want them to do research on. investigate. They were investigating cases that some people didn't want them to investigate, and they were, in order to get them out of the way, they were declared insane, although they were perfectly sane. Okay, they can do that with anyone, and they tried to do this with me. In order, I can only assume, and you must not do that. You can't do that publicly. What they effectively did was they hindered the publication of the proof that the Brexit was illegal that I had already finished. And these proofs now lie in this bunker. These are the walls. These walls of a bunker in which I retreated to be safe, to be not attackable by any person other than the city. The only ones that could have attacked me in that bunker would have been the city of Witten, the officers of the city, and by the German constitution they were not allowed to do this. They were not allowed to do this because all German citizens have the right to resist in case that there is a system or an organization that actually allows to take human rights away, to take freedom away. Something, and the psychiatric system does this. So I knew that if I stay in this bunker, if I stay in this bunker, and if I retreat into a bunker, stay in a bunker, then I become unattackable. I figured this out. Why? Well, I figured all the relations I figured out while I was in that bunker, but I retreated into that bunker in order to be safe and to have quiet, to have a safe place and a quiet place to work on this. And then I realized that this bunker is the only place I'm actually safe in by law, and that I have to stay in there in order to prove all this. Or I actually already had found proofs of certain relations, and because I had found this proof, I went into that bunker, but mostly because I needed a quiet and safe place. And then I realized that by law, this was the only place where I couldn't be attacked. And the city of Witten, they used a trick in order to attack me, which if you can't attack a person by law, then you have to use a trick and somehow get the psychiatric system involved and declare that person insane. And then under certain circumstances, you can also abuse the police system. You can also call the police for help, because they actually are the only ones who can attack anyone in Germany in the first place. No, they have the monopoly on violence in Germany. Private persons and even psychiatrists normally are not allowed to attack other persons unless from self-defense. Meaning if someone is really crazy, if someone is going crazy, but you can see on that video, you can see that I did not go crazy or attack anyone there. If you are as harmless, they will claim that I resisted and that I may even have used violence, but I didn't. If you are a person as harmless as me, you are untouchable. The first article of the German Constitution, dignity is untouchable, says that no person who is acting dignifiedly, no person that uses its human dignity must be touched by the powers of state, or must be touched violently. The second article forbids any kind of violence at all. Forbids all kinds of violence. The only ones who can use violence under certain circumstances by the laws of the German constitutions is the police. And so if someone is doing something that I was doing, then there are certain circumstances in which this person can be considered absolutely untouchable, absolutely safe. And this is such a situation in which I retreated. The situation in this bunker made me completely unattackable, untouchable. So they had to circumvent this by involving psychiatry and claiming I was insane, but I'm not. Even though the explanation that I'm not perfect in English, my explanation may contain mistakes, and I can't express myself the way in English the way I can actually express myself in German. So you may think that what I'm actually saying might sometimes appear to be a little confused, but this is if so in the first place, this is because I'm not perfect in English. It's definitely not because I have mental health issues or something.
the case of Mollert, Hasselbauer, Mr. Mollert and Mrs. Hasselbauer in Germany, and the case of the tax officers Schmenger, Wehner, Feser, they actually proved that this system is breaking the constitution, and that you can declare anyone insane. There was a psychiatrist. This is important. I'm sorry that I have to explain this for the English version. There is a psychiatrist. Who freed Mr. Mollert. Mr. Mollert is a man who was imprisoned unrighteously for seven years of his life in a psychiatric forensic prison. Because somebody claimed he was dangerous, but he was not at all. They just wanted to get him out of the way. Because he had proof, Mr. Mollert had proof that there was a certain group of people that tried to illegally move money from Germany to, say, for instance, Switzerland, into Switzerland. Move money, German money, move money from banks in Germany to banks in Switzerland, and they did so illegally. It's called Schwarzgeld, black money in German. Mr. Mollert had proof that this group did this, so this group tried to get him out of the way by declaring him insane and putting him into prison for 7 years of his life, so that he wouldn't be able to publish the proof. Very important. They did something similar with me. They declared me insane. They attacked me with the help of a psychiatrist, and I just leave it like this. I have to be careful on a public video. I just say maybe because they wanted to hinder the publication of my proofs. Okay, this is important. There's a guy. He's called Dr. Weinberger. Where is it? There it is. This is a website that Mr. Mollert created. It's called gustelforhelp.de. Gustelforhelp.de. On this website, Mr. Mollert, this is the first name of Mr. Mollert is Gustel, and with the help of this site, he tried to call for help. There is a psychiatrist, and he's carrying a cross of merit, a cross of merit of the German state. So he has a medal, in simple words, for what he did for this state already. And he wrote what's it called? He wrote an expert paper on the mental state of Mr. Mollert, and said that Mr. Mollert was perfectly sane, but was imprisoned illegally just to get him out of the way. And in this paper where he said that Mr. Mollert is perfectly sane, this guy helped to free Mr. Mollert. All right, he's a psychiatrist himself, and this psychiatrist himself, and he's a carrier of a cross of merit of the German state. This guy said that with the help of the psychiatric system, basically this means anywhere in the world, but he said this with regard to the German psychiatric system. He said that normally the abuse of psychiatric abuse, we only see in states of dictatorial states, but it happens more and more often that we also see it here in Germany, where there is what is called a legal Rechtsstaat, a state of right, state of law, state of right. Rechtsstaat, that's a principle that Immanuel Kant wrote about. It's called Rechtsstaat in German. And he said the abuse of psychiatry is seen more and more often even in a state of right, and in a state of human rights, where basic human rights and basic rights are protected. This kind of abuse it can be used against anyone, any citizen at any time. This is what he's writing here. Yeah, so any one of us, he says, here in Germany is threatened by the fact that the psychiatric abuse can be used against anyone at any time, and leads to the complete removal of all complete removal of all rights. Yeah, since Germany is a state of right, Rechtsstaat, a right state, state of rights. Sorry, I'm not perfect in English, as I said. It is forbidden by our constitution in Article 20, for example, Article 1, Article 19, Article 20. There are many articles in the constitution that forbid completely, categorically, that groups, citizens, organizations, institutions, or the powers of state may take the rights away of innocent people, of the citizens who are not acting criminally, who are using their dignity. It is not allowed by constitution. It is forbidden to take the rights away of people, the rights of people away. But this psychiatrist, who's, I repeat, already wearing the Cross of Merit of the state, and who has freed Mr. Mollert from 7 years of unrighteous imprisonment in psychiatry, he says that the psychiatric system, even in Germany, technically, not legally, but technically allows for taking the human rights, basic rights of people away by a mere signature. Yes, it is possible for a psychiatrist to unrighteously declare perfectly harmless and perfectly sane people insane and put them into prison. Okay, they did so with Mr. Mollert. I repeat, they did so with Mr. Mollert in order to hinder the publication of his proofs that there is a group that there was at that time a group in Germany that is moving money illegally from Germany to Switzerland. Okay, and I have a lot of proofs, for instance, that the Brexit really is illegal. That's something very special. It is a part of the principles of language that I found, the analogon, the missing piece to Newton's Principia Mathematica, Isaac Newton's Principia Mathematica. I found them. I've really found them. And as part of these principles of language, I could solve the value judgment dispute, I repeat, and I could prove that the Brexit was completely illegal the way it was advertised for, the way it was done. And of course, and I was hindered from publishing these proofs. I tried to publish them for the English people. I tried to publish them to the Guardian. When they were attacking me, I was already in the process of trying to reach the Guardian. I didn't have any money at the time. I didn't even have a phone I could easily use, and I could easily call the Guardian with. It was very difficult for me to contact anybody at the time, but I had already contacted the Guardian by email and sent them some kind of really not good video, some kind of emergency videos, way worse than what you see right now. When after I was attacked and I had I had to work to get some money, and now I tried to as quickly as possible buy a new handy so that I could make a better video and go on trying to publish these proofs. Because I was so successful in proving that the psychiatric system is abusive and is against the German constitution, they did not dare to put me into prison. If I wouldn't have explicitly done what is called resistance against the psychiatric system in this bunker, they would most likely have imprisoned me when they attacked me. Yeah, so I escaped imprisonment because that would have been too obvious. Yeah, they couldn't put me into prison because I had published a series of videos that proved that I was right. So they had to be very carefully, but they I don't want to say they did it on purpose, but they effectively hindered the publication of the proofs that the Brexit is illegal, which I had already completed. I was in the process of publishing them when they attacked me. As I said, I already had published bad versions of videos. It wasn't perfect. There were mistakes, but I didn't have time to publish better versions. I had sent links to the Guardian, and somebody from the Guardian must have looked at these videos because they were looked at. I only had the possibility to publish them on YouTube, and there's a counter on YouTube where you can see how often the video is looked at. and it was looked at a lot of time in a very short amount of time. It was looked at very often. It was actually looked at so often that I got scared and put the video private again, because it had a really bad quality and it had mistakes in it. The audio and the video were not synchronized. The video was way quicker than the audio, and it wasn't. And I thought that this video, for instance, might do more damage than a better one, and so I decided to put it private again, and then try to make better videos. And while I was in the process of trying to make better videos, I was attacked and hindered from the publication. Okay, important. I have fully proven, there is a German video that fully proves this is the mayor, Sonja Leidemann. That is the mayor of this town. Sonja Leidemann, Witten, the town I'm in, there is a bunker in Witten where there are proofs that the Brexit is legal, but they are kept locked by the city. This is the mayor of the city. She is at the moment trying to erect a new psychiatric hospital in Witten. So there might be a conflict of interest, and there might be another conflict of interest, as I have just proven that the psychiatric system in the current form is completely against the constitution and cannot be allowed to work like this. And there might be another conflict of interest, but I don't want to say something against this. I don't know the motives, and I don't know who was part of that. It's possible. Anja Reinken was the head of the department that was responsible for renting the bunker to people like me. And she might, I don't know whether the mayor knew of this, but the mayor should have known, because I told the ones responsible of the video city of Witten that they have the duty or that they actually should have the duty to report my findings, my scientific findings and proofs to the mayor and I don't know if I said explicitly to the mayor. I said that they actually should have the duty to report this to the German parliament and to the chancellor, to Miss Merkel, and I begged them to do so, because I don't have the time and the possibility to do this effectively. I also did so myself. I reported it to the German parliament, but it is difficult to say whether it is not that easy to there are a lot of mails that are sent there, and to be absolutely sure that the German parliament is reached as soon as possible, I told the city of Witten to report this case, to report my findings. So they should know. Even the mayor should know that what I had found in this bunker, and that I retreated into that bunker to be safe. And I actually did try. I did tell them that no one is allowed to touch me, that no one is allowed to stop me, because there are lives at stake, and because the constitution allows me to do that. And I have proven in detail in a German video. I can't repeat this now. I've proven in detail that this is the mayor again. This is an official website of the city of Witten. I've proven in detail that it was forbidden. This term is called that it was forbidden for the city. Sorry, that it was forbidden for the city of Witten to attack me. And I've proven this in detail with an explanation about the logic of our constitution. This term here is called public violence. Public violence is everything that the executive, any kind of executive in the state, can do against citizens. For instance, if mayors, under certain circumstances, mayors can use violence or can beg the police to support them in their case, so that the police then uses violence against citizens, and this is called public violence. Any act of the executive in which violence is involved is called public violence, and it is clear that the mayor is part of the executive. This is for instance. You can find this in the article about the mayor in Germany. There it is said that the mayor is part of the executive. Here it is mentioned that the mayor is part of the executive, and here it is mentioned in detail why this is so, because he is what is called a Behörde, an office. A Behörde is an office. Then you can look up what are the duties of an office in Germany, and you will find that they have to serve the citizens. They have to serve the citizens. They have to serve the citizens of the state, explicitly serve them, and fulfill. You can find this when you look up these links. What they mean. You can what their duties are, what the duties of offices are and officers in Germany are. Then they are responsible for the public administration and the duties of the public administrations. And the duties of the public administrations, this is the duty of public duties, duties of the public administrations. This is an article about it. In this article, you can find explicitly that the duties of any office in Germany are to realize, well, that's the wrong word, to help come true the goals that are mentioned in the German constitution, in our constitution. And in our German constitution, there is mentioned, for instance, that all German citizens like me have the right to resist any kind of system that allows for the taking away of human rights, for instance. Yeah, you find this in Article 20 of the German Constitution, that all German citizens are allowed to resist in case that the constitutional order is attacked or broken. And if there is a system in Germany that allows to take the rights of people away, although they haven't done anything, although they are innocent, if there is a system in Germany that allows to declare people insane and to take with this measure the human rights of these people away, or the basic rights, whatever rights, away from these people, then that is a case where the constitutional order is attacked, where the binding of the powers of state to right, that's what it's called in our constitution explicitly, is removed, is broken. And in this case, every German citizen has the right